video in three, two, one. Yeah. We're live.
Okay, hello everyone from wherever you're joining us from. I hope the sessions have been amazing. From what I've been hearing, you guys have been learning a lot. I also did a few sessions myself, and it was awesome. It was amazing. And so, the first thing I'd like to start off by saying is thank you. Thank you for setting aside some time. Thank you for dedicating yourselves. Thank you for taking time to go in and learn and challenge yourselves. Some of you have been learning things you've never learned before. Some of you have been hardening skills that you've been practicing on, right? And you have this good mix of new things you've learned, old things you're perfecting, and you're growing. And for me, that's exciting. That's powerful. I love it. And so I want to say to each and every one of you, thank you for making it. This is really awesome. And this is the closing session. I mean, whew, what else should I start with? But thank you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lawrence Muthoga. I'm the Azure Developer Audience Product Marketing Manager. The names go on, but in short, what I do is I look after the Microsoft developer ecosystem across Africa, and I work with communities, mainly developer communities, to make sure they're learning Azure, they're trying new things, they're challenging themselves. That's what I mainly do. And on the offside, I also participate a lot in these community events, and I present and I train. So that's me, that's Lawrence. And in today's session, I wanted to cover a few things, just a few parting thoughts, some things I wanted you to go home with and ruminate on over the weekend. And when I was building this, when I was told I'll do the closing keynote, I didn't want it to be a talk about technology. I wanted it to be a talk about what it's like out here and how can you, especially when you're in university, prepare yourself for the big outside, right? The world beyond the walls of uni. And to do that, I thought three key principles that I think everyone should take seriously: education, exposure, and experience. And education, I think that's pretty obvious. It's how much you know. It's the amount of knowledge in your skull and how much you actually grow it. That's education. It's what we do on a day-to-day. Experience. I don't crack jokes about how often you see that meme of, hey, we are looking for an entry-level job with 10 years experience. But think of experience as how long you've been doing something. Think of it as actually putting your hands, getting dirty, and actually doing something. That's experience. And last but not least is exposure, which is how exposed, well, that's repeating the same word, so I think I should not use the word exposed twice, but think of it as how many experiences have you gone through relating to a certain topic. And these three things are really critical to any form of growth and any form of learning. And I don't want to speak of them in like without context. And so I'd like to share a little bit of my story. I'd like to share a bit of myself, what it's like as a student joining Microsoft. What are the key principles? And using these three key principles of exposure, education, and experience, and what they've meant for me as an individual and what they've meant for me as Lawrence. I don't just speak of them as, hey, go check out A, B, C, D, E, F. These are amazing principles to live by. Here's a book, etc., etc. No, I want to actually show them in practice. I will put a big warning. This is mainly a showcase of photographs, and so there will be some embarrassing photos of me. And I'll tell you this: I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. And if you're looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills, skills I have acquired over a very long career, skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you screenshot these photos, I will look for you, I will find you, and I will make you delete them. So just kidding. Don't screenshot the photos, they're very embarrassing. And hopefully I'll tell you a bit about my story and some of the things that I've been doing over time. And My story starts a long time ago. Those two faces on the screen are the people I love the most in this world. That's my mom and my dad over in the 80s. And as you can see, he got the full beard. I only got the goatee. That's terrible. It breaks my heart. And the reason they're very, very important to me is they defined who I became. They made a promise a couple of, well, years and years ago. They decided, hey, we may not have much, but we are going to invest as much as we can into education. And that meant sacrificing a lot of the money they had, sacrificing the little they had to send us, that's me and my bro, to really good schools. And in most of these places, we were literally kicked out for lack of fees most of the time. Just to give an example, for nursery school, kindergarten, it was 17 kilometers away, and so every morning my mom would put these two little kids into a matatu. We call them matatus in Kenya. In South Africa, you might call them taxis or combis. In Nigeria, just call them the bus. I don't know what you guys call them. And we'd be driven 17 kms away, and with no parental supervision, and go to school, learn, get into a matatu, and head back every evening. And my dad is a teacher, was a teacher, still is a teacher, and I think it's in the blood. And for him, education wasn't just about teaching people stuff. It was about letting them understand the world. And those principles, that love for learning, is something that he imparted on to us. And it's something that I treasure to this day. It's what actually drives me a lot in my career. It's something that I always do, always keep learning, always keep growing. And as you can see, he lives a freestyle. He's a very interesting guy. And yeah, and like I've said, don't stop learning. So embarrassing photo number one. This photo looks a bit weird, and I'll tell you why. I don't know how many of us have read the book Oliver or watched a movie about Oliver. When I was in high school, I was trying to look for a high school photo. Apparently, I only have 3 photos of me in high school, and this is 30% of them in front of you. So this was the Oliver musical, and we were acting as the street crooks and a very notorious thug called Fagin. And so, yes, that's very young Lawrence, a long, long time ago. And I couldn't find any school photos of high school, but I want to talk a bit about young learning or trying new things as you're transitioning. It's very, very key that you never stop learning. There's no end to quote unquote school. There's an end to the fences and structured learning, but there's a lot more out there, guys. There's a lot more than you can imagine. You go out there and you try new things, you have new experiences, you challenge yourself. And I'll talk a bit about how some of those things happened. And for me, the critical thing was, how do I take what I've learned, and despite the issues that we were facing at that time on a very personal level, is how can I take what I've been using, what I've been practicing, what I've been training myself on, and go to the next level. And so when I was in high school, I didn't know I was going to do computer science. I really didn't focus on that. I simply went into the library and into the computer labs and played games. And when it came time to select what I wanted to do in university, I remember I reached out to a friend called Edwin, and I was like, "Hey, are there any courses about computers in university?" And he was shocked. He was like, "Wait, you don't know? You can do computer science, you can do software engineering." I was like, "Yeah, I want to build games because I've been playing Max Payne every day for the last 3 months." And yeah, so I picked computer science, and that was the path I picked. And I found out that I loved it. And I'll tell you why I love code. I love code because it's about problem solving. It's about taking bits and pieces of these complex puzzles and putting them together and finding a solution. It's about finding something new out of knowledge you've just acquired and building something that may not have existed before. A very good example is this video you see on screen. That's called the Roach Rover, and it ties into the point about challenging yourself. When we were in university, and I can speak as to most universities, there's a lot of stuff they teach you in class, but then there's going out there and applying it. And this is where experience and exposure kick in. You have to go out there and build something. You have to go out there and challenge yourself. And for me, that took the form of hackathons. I absolutely love hackathons. You go in blind, you have no idea what you're going to build, and boom, you put a product out. And this particular one is or was the NASA Space Apps Challenge. And I remember we came in and we were told, we want you to build something. Oh, that's my shoe right there. I recognize my feet. Yeah, so we were told, build something amazing, build a Mars rover. And when we were given all the parts, we realized they didn't have a motion sensor. They couldn't, so we couldn't detect, no, we didn't have an object detection. There's a piece of hardware, I don't remember what it was. And so here we had a light emitting diode, a light sensitive resistor, and an Arduino that has wheels. And so we were like, can we really make this thing detect obstacles? And so what we did was, without having the right tools, we actually just took the blue LEDs, stuck them in the front, stuck a resistor behind it, and using reflection of light, every time the diode sends out a beam, it's actually flickering pretty fast, so fast that you can't see it, but it's flickering quite an amount of times per second. The resistance changes and it's able to detect an object in front of it and avoid it. The only problem is it would go and hide in dark places. And that's why we ended up calling it the roach rover, because just like a cockroach, if you leave it on the floor long enough, it's going to go and hide in a dark corner. And so it's small things like that that we used to do quite an amount of. And that's why I made friends. That's where I learned. That's where, most importantly, I learned that I didn't know. I remember the first serious hackathon I went to. We were with my friend Dave. I remember George was there. All these guys have actually done sessions with you guys. And we walked in, we are these students, we are cocky. We are like, yeah, we know these things. We're coming here to own all of you. And we walk in and guys start presenting their ideas. And I'll be very honest, my jaw dropped on the floor. I was like, no way, you guys can actually build software that does this? And I realized in those few seconds that I didn't know. I didn't know as much as I thought I did. I thought I was proficient. Turns out I wasn't. I was an amateur. I was a dabbler. I wasn't actually doing anything. And people react in multiple ways to learning that. They either accept the situation and say, okay, I don't know, that's fine. Or, and this is what I'd encourage you to do, is go, hey, I want to be better than that guy. I want to know more. I want to build the kind of amazing things I'm seeing here. And so hackathons for me worked as exposure. They showed me a world I didn't know existed. They showed me new ways of thinking, new ways of approaching problems. And you're not just exposed to software, you're exposed to people. And you go in and you learn and you build and you try. And by the time I was finishing my 4th year of university, I was like, hey, I'm a developer to the core. I'm a dev hands down through and through. But let's be very honest, change is inevitable, right? And over there on the left, you can see Skinny Lawrence as just when he joined Microsoft. And Lawrence today, he's eaten at least one of himself. But let's just say things are good. But change isn't just inevitable in the fact that we grow and we age and we change, but it's also in how we use the skills we've gained. So challenge yourself, but don't be afraid to change. When I joined Microsoft, I didn't join as a software engineer. There was no software engineering at that point on the continent. I joined in sales. And so here I am, a deep introvert, a guy who really doesn't like talking to people. I do love this stage, I will not lie. It's nice when you act, but I was really, really terrible at interpersonal conversations. And so for me, this became a critical change, not just in my career, but in the way I view the world. And because here I was and I was told, hey, go in front of these customers and explain to them why they need X software. And I remember that time it was Office 365. The cloud was new. Nowadays, everybody's like, hey, nobody asks whether you're on the cloud anymore. It's just an assumption that you are. But back then we had to go and talk to customers and tell them, hey, you don't need Exchange on premise, put it on the cloud. Imagine what happens if your IT guy slips and drops coffee on your server, and that's it, bye-bye emails. And so we had all these conversations, and it was moving from understanding software to being able to present software to people. And now this is where exposure again kicks in, is because while in my mind I was very narrowly, had boxed myself into the software development path. Suddenly, due to this exposure into the sales world and what's required and a whole new way of approaching things, a whole branch of opportunities and probabilities opened up. And so I tried out bringing, hey, what if I was to find new ways of making this exciting? Because let's be very honest, when you're learning something technical, it can get boring pretty fast, right? Especially if it's difficult, but can we make it fun? Can we throw in new ideas? Can we try something? And so I'll say find your path. It's very critical because it increases the amount of depth of knowledge and experience. But also, if new opportunities open up, challenge yourself. Go try something you haven't. I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't make that switch, because it actually took two of my skills and put them together. And by putting them together, it actually bloomed and grew. And that was very, very critical. And another very key point is this: try new things. Always go in, challenge yourself, try, learn something new. For me, over the last few years, I got good at selling. I don't think I'd be wrong if I said that, and presenting and putting all that stuff. And so I have this hunger for new things. And so last year, or I think it was the year before, we're already in 2020. Yeah, so it's about 2-3 years ago. I literally said, you know what? I have never worked out in my life. I'm going to a gym and I am going to learn boxing. I knew jack about the entire thing. I didn't know anything. And so I met this amazing trainer called Mike, and he challenged me and he was like, hey, you want to learn boxing? Then firstly, you have to get in shape. This is what you have to do. And slowly by slowly, this entire new set of opportunities and areas slowly opened up as well. And I also did the same with photography. There's that nice photo of an old tortoise on the bottom, and I was like, hey, what's all this fuss about cameras and Instagram and how to take photos and edit them, etc., etc., etc. And I went into that, learned to edit photos, take very nice photos, learned things about the exposure triangle, aperture, shutter speed, etc., etc. The difference between mirrorless and mirrored mirror and DSLR cameras, etc. It's a whole new world that opened up. And then Corona happened, and now we are all stuck in the house. And I was like, hey, I'm getting bored, and my gym unfortunately shut down. And so I went out and bought a guitar and said, you know what, I love music. So why not try music? And in each of these things, the key goal is not just to try, it's to learn, to figure something out, because a lot of these things are difficult. They'll take years. I'll be very honest, I'll probably be stuck playing very stupid songs on the guitar for the next 3-4 years before I figure it out. And the message I want to impart to you here is it's very critical, it's very key for you to go out there and try new things. You may not have the breadth of exposure or even the opportunities to go out there and do these things, but find something small. It could be joining a Toastmasters if you're shy when it comes to public speaking. It could be hanging out with developers who may be way better than you and figuring out what do they do. It could be opening up a new area in an area that you're already an expert of. For example, I don't know anything about IoT devices, but of late, I've been engaging the IoT team because there's some interesting things they're trying, and I want to try that. And it's small steps like that that I'd encourage you to go in and do. And last but not least is this can't happen without context. It's very critical that you know yourself. And knowing yourself isn't something you do once, it's a journey. Trust you me, every year, you will change. Every day, you will change. And it's super, super critical for you to know what you love, what drives you, what do you value. And the reason these are critical is because they define your purpose. It makes it easier for you to wake up in the morning if you know why you're waking up, even during the bad days. I'll not say working for Microsoft is all sunshine and roses. I'll be very honest, there's some days it's thorns. and you wake up and you're like, oh my goodness, someone just stabbed me in the eye with a fork, please, I am done. And you sit and think, why do I do this? Why am I here? And the core part to that is knowing yourself. It's knowing what you love, what you enjoy, and what drives you. And for me, I've just thrown in a few random pictures of things I like and things I enjoy. I love anime. I've always loved anime. Studied in high school, and I'll be very honest, there's a huge world out there if you love anime. I love movies. I wanted to put any sci-fi. I was actually tempted to put The Matrix there, but if you're a sci-fi buff like I am, do go check out Primer. And trust you me, it's 1 hour and 27 minutes of pure mind-blowing scientific complexity. It is a good movie. I love reading. One of the terrible benefits of having a teacher as a parent is you fall in love with books. It's so serious. I literally have a book right next to me so that whenever meetings get boring, I just go in and thumb a few pages. I also love writing, and I took up a blog and I started writing a few things. I love poetry and putting all that stuff there. And I'm also a gamer. I go in, this is literally a gaming laptop. I love spending weekends with the guys doing whatever game is coming out. And for those of you who are gamers, you know, in exactly 6 days, Cyberpunk 2077 is finally out. So if I disappear from the face of the planet, yeah, I'll definitely be doing Cyberpunk. And these things are important to me, not because they define who I am, but because they're a part of who I am. I cannot be Lawrence without all these various bits and pieces. And you have, and I love this comment someone has just put in and said, know thyself and thyself be. And that's very, very critical. So figure who you are. Trust me, it takes time. Don't rush. Because Lawrence 5 years ago and Lawrence today are two completely different people. And I am proud of where I am. I am not proud of everything I've done. I've done some dumb stuff in my life, but I'm proud of the journey I'm making and where I think I am. And it would be amazing to see you guys go above and beyond. And last but not least is life is too short. Sorry, I see the presentation. Just give me 1 sec. There we go. Last but not least is that life is too short, right? Don't, trust you me, find a way to have fun. And by having fun, I don't mean go drink yourself silly, no. I mean, do things you enjoy. Find something that puts a smile on your face. Real happiness is not something you chase every day, right? People talk about the pursuit of happiness. Happiness is a baseline. When something exciting happens, your happiness spikes a little, right? But then at the end of the day, it goes back. And so the real challenge is slowly increasing this baseline to a point where it doesn't matter whether you go low for a bit, it will always come back to that baseline. The problem is too many people are chasing that high, not realizing that true happiness isn't that high. It's where you are when you're that average. If you can raise the average of your happiness, it makes life much, much easier. So go out there and try new things, have some fun, put a smile on your face, because life is too short. 80 years, what can you do with 80 years? That tortoise that was chilling on the grass was already 120 years old. So go out there, challenge yourself, do amazing things. And of course, please don't forget to have fun. And so I've mentioned all these things, and I bring us back to the 3 key things I was talking about. Education. You're in school right now. Most of you are already gaining this, and you're doing an awesome job of it. So thank you. Keep growing that knowledge because you need it. But when you fuse education with experience, you get skill, actual skill that people can rely on. When someone is hiring someone, this is what they're looking for. 90% of the time, they'll ask you, are you able to do X or do Y? They're basically asking, do you have the knowledge and a bit of experience to run this? Of course, as students, this is not super expected of you, but trust you me, it really, really helps when you have the experience. Education and exposure gives you perspective. It gives you a new view of things. You're able to see things from a different point of view. You're able to incorporate other people's points of view as well. If anything, it makes you a more empathetic human being. It makes you easier to work with. It makes you find new ways of working. And most of all, is it also opens up a whole world of possibilities for you. So find new ways to expose yourself. Well, I don't say expose yourself, that could sound so rude, but find new ways to expose, well, find new ways to put yourself in situations where you learn more and gain new perspectives. That's what true exposure is about. And also, exposure and experience gives you insight. Why? Because you're able to bring in these new perspectives, you're able to bring in the work you've done so far and figure out new ways of approaching things. And the more you grow in your career, the more insight you need, more than anything else. It's your ability to see a problem and solve it. And so with that, ladies and gentlemen, I just pulled something off out of my brain and stuck it there and said, look, you guys are living in a new age. It's an age of possibility. You can do a lot. And if you're picking the tech path, the software path, trust you me, there is so much you can do. The reason I love tech in Africa is because you really don't need anything to do this, right? You just need an internet connection and a computer. And the rest is all in your head. You don't need roads, you don't need hospitals, you don't need a title that says engineer. All you need is a problem, the passion to fix it, and the will to go in and do it. And so I'll give you this challenge. I want you to pick a goal. I want you to go in, dig in, and do amazing things. I want you to work at it, because I'll be very honest, there's going to be a lot of work involved. But it's not just working hard, it's working smart. And most of all, don't stop growing, don't stop challenging yourselves. And before I hand over to Ruth, I'll ask you all to always remember to stay awesome. Thank you, guys. Oh, sorry, Ruth, you're on mute. Quote for 2020.
I'm doing this the entire day today, talking while I was still on mute. Thank you for that. Thank you so much, Lawrence. I was saying, wow, who is better out there in closing than you? No one. It's like you are the bomb, man. You did it. Like you close it, drop the mic. We should just all end now. Right? Thank you so much for showing everyone the importance of exposure, not exposing, exposure and learning. And before I hand it over to Bethany and Olumide, I would like to first thank everyone. I'm going to share this slide. If you could send it over to live. I'm kind of running blind here. I just wanted to thank for all of you that attended all the sessions today. Really, thank you very much. We wouldn't be here without you, but most especially, and thank you for all the speakers. Thank you for doing an awesome job with all of your sessions yesterday as well as today. But we wouldn't be here really without these awesome individuals. My best awesome number one thank yous to all of the organizers, the student ambassadors. For those of you that are not student ambassadors, this is really run by students, this particular summit. So as part of being a student ambassador, you get to run summits and other activities as big as this is, covering the entire continent. So we hope to see you join us in the Student Ambassador Program, but most especially I'd like to thank these individuals here that made it all happen behind the scene. They're the ones that kept the sessions going and made sure that this summit happened. So with that, I leave you with good luck to tomorrow's hackathon and enjoy, learn a few things or a lot. Thank you. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Bethany.
Thank you so much, Ruth and Lawrence, for all the words that you said. For me, I'm here to present you guys some goodies. So let me just share my screen. I have a lot of good things for you guys. So I hope you guys had a lot of fun. I am Bethany Jepchumba, one of the student ambassadors from Kenya. And my role here is to give you guys the social media prizes and tell you guys what else is left to be won. So let me just dive right into it. So we were using the hashtag MSSA2020. So you can go ahead and continue tweeting, sharing all the nuggets of wisdom you guys gained. And we have the first award is for the daily social charm. So this is the guy or the lady who tweeted the most during the first day, and we have also the second day. So for day one, it was yesterday. And what we have for you is a laptop bag and 3 laptop stickers. So let's get to it. So we have Emma Kimari, who had 21 shares, so and 5 likes to her tweet. So this is quite amazing. So her tweet was, "Hello Cloud Computing World, join us at the session." I think this was yesterday's session, and it was by Cyrus Ndiragu. Thank you so much, Emma. You can, I'll tell you the details on how you can reach out to us at the end. So we also have day 2 winner. So the same thing, you'll win the same thing, laptop bag and 3 laptop stickers. And we have Shell Hunter. So Shell Hunter, this was today's tweet, and it was about our recruiting workshop. I was actually the one moderating. Thank you so much for putting my face out there. So yeah, it was so awesome. The session was so awesome. So I think your name is Martin something, Martin Sheikh or something. So thank you so much, Emma and Martin. So to reach us out, you can send me an email at bethany@studentambassadors.com or send us a DM on one of our Twitter handles, that is at Microsoft Student Ambassadors Kenya or Microsoft Student Ambassadors Nigeria or Microsoft ADC, and we'll find a way to ensure that the awesome swag reaches out to you. So now we also have all this swag left. So we have the overall most liked post. This will be 1 year exam voucher for Azure. No, 1 exam voucher for the Azure Fundamentals course, 1 year LinkedIn Learning voucher, 3 laptop stickers, and 1 flash disk. The next other one is, so you have at least, this was for the overall most liked post. So if you have at least 50 shares, you'll also get the same thing. 1 flash disk, 1 laptop, 1 Azure voucher, 1 year of LinkedIn Learning, and 5 laptop stickers. Then we'll also do a poll on our Twitter handle, so at Microsoft Student Ambassador Kenya and Nigeria. So be on the lookout, and we'll be awarding one of you all this. So be on the lookout for those. And lastly, we had each session we had you guys giving us feedback. So in each session, you were to give feedback on how the session was. Each session had a feedback form at the end. So if you stayed till the end of a session and you were able to give feedback, so this is randomly chosen. So regardless of the feedback you give, it's just a raffle. So one of you randomly will be able to win a 1 year LinkedIn Learning voucher. So I think that's the end of the prizes that we have. So be on the lookout for all this. We'll be selecting the rest by Monday, and we'll be sharing. You will just share with us an email or DM us on Twitter, and we'll reach out to you. Over to you, Lydia.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Bethany. Thank you everyone for joining. So there are still some awards to be won, so please continue sharing on your social media handles, share with your friends, and I wish you all the best in the hackathon tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Continue sharing. Remember, the hashtag is MSSA 2020. And for those who are asking about the recordings, we'll be posting them on the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador Kenya YouTube channel. So be sure to check it out. We'll be sending you guys the emails. I hope you've been receiving our emails. So we'll be sending you an update after this event in the next week. So thank you so much for attending. Let's chat on Slack and ensure you submit your projects by tomorrow, 1 p.m. GMT. That is in Kenyan time, that is 4 p.m. So 4 p.m. Kenyan time, 1 p.m. GMT. Thank you so much, and you have a lovely evening.